This is the ProView desk on display here at the Consumer Electronics Show. It's a different way of working with your computer. The CRT is buried underneath the desktop, and you look at it through this glare-free screen, which is part of the desktop. From newly designed workstations like this to new keyboards and new video displays, computer companies are trying to make computing a little less dangerous to your health. Today, we'll take a look at computer ergonomics on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by Intel, the world's leading manufacturer of microprocessors. Intel, the computer inside.
Additional funding is provided by the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and with me today is Gary Davis of Ergotron. Gary, I'm going to ask you about this whole setup in just a minute. I want to show you this new ergonomic keyboard from Apple for the Macintosh, which is kind of neat. Some nice features like these little wrist rests over here, which is good for you. Has sound buttons, by the way, built into the keyboard. What is really cool is you can then crack this thing in the middle like that. And then work like this, which is very healthy for you because you get a straight line going from your wrist to your hands over here. It also comes with the extended keyboard with a rest for your wrist over here, also in the function keys, numeric keypad, cursor keys, special keys, and so on. And both keyboards are selling for a little over $200, which is basically the price of a Mac keyboard. So it's a very nice option for Mac users who are interested in ergonomic concerns. I want to ask you about this baby. This is kind of neat over here. What's the point in this monitor suspension system?
This patented mechanism enables you to move the monitor to any comfortable position very easily.
So you got all these different axes of movement.
Yes,
huh?
you can slide it.
The whole thing
You move it up
slides.
and down, swivel it, tilt it. And it's very easy to do. There's a gas-filled spring here that counterbalances the weight of the monitor, and a very easy to move and yet easy to stay in
So
place
I can find
position.
the angle I want that's right for my eyes, and I can want to share work. I can sort of just spin it around and so on.
Well, and you can also get it away from your eyes a little bit to get the optimum viewing distance, get your shoulders comfortable and so forth.
And get it off my desk mainly, right?
Yes, and have a very easy eye motion between the monitor and your work. And you also have the CPU, peripherals, and so forth up off the desk using the vertical space. Now you have the Apple new keyboard here, which is a great place to put it, and the height of the work surface can be adjusted
So we
that
can go
it's,
up and down with this?
Yeah, so it's comfortable for your wrists. But also, if you're using a conventional keyboard, you may want to put on an optional descending keyboard tray, which is also completely adjustable, and you can set that at a comfortable position for your wrists.
That's terrific. All right, we're going to look at several solutions to the ergonomic problems created by working with computers, in particular improved displays and improved input devices that reduce eye strain, back pain, and repetitive strain injuries. Now, one company that has been recognized for its healthful work environment is Levi Strauss. So we'll begin with a visit to the Levi Strauss headquarters here in San Francisco to see their ergonomically upgraded workstations.
When most people think of Levi's, they think of jeans. But Levi's means more than comfortable clothes. Levi Strauss is also a comfortable and healthful place to work. The reason is a proactive ergonomics program based on construction of new ergonomically designed workstations and a comprehensive training and awareness program.
Prevention is very important. In fact, that's the thrust of our program in reference to our new workstations, in reference to the educational components that we've put in place, and employee awareness to be looking at what they can do themselves, not waiting for someone to come and say, you might need a glare screen here, or you might need a wrist pad, or have you thought about a split keyboard, but for them to be thinking about those.
Part of the training includes a video called The ABCs of Your VDT and a pamphlet describing exercises designed to prevent repetitive strain injuries. And Levi's employees are encouraged by the in-house staff of medical specialists to take frequent breaks.
We really emphasize taking what we call natural breaks from heavy computer keying, such as answering the telephone, going to the copy machine, and getting, the cup of coffee, anything that will take a break from the intensive work on the computer.
Levi's noticed an increase in health complaints from the initial group of workers who began using computers about 10 years ago. That, combined with the latest health department statistics, which show that close to half of all workplace injuries last year were computer-related, was enough to justify the cost of ergonomic improvements.
We really believe that the investment is a long-term investment, that it will make a significant difference in our employees' health over time, in their productivity, and in our work environment. And we feel that that's an investment well spent.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Jonelle Patterson.
I'll show you right here, okay, as he types, all right? If you just let your arms drop and you bring them up, they're somewhere like this.
So your hands are stuck to the keyboard, your body is hunched over the computer, and sooner or later your wrist or your neck or your back starts to hurt. Here to show us some ergonomic solutions to those problems are Jim Greider of Ergodyne, and with us also Dale Redder of Industrial Innovations. Jim, let me start with you, and you've got the typical situation. You've got a PC compatible here, the regular kind of a keyboard. Right. What kind of products do you have that help reduce these body problems in working on a computer?
Well, Stuart, as you know, the computer's had a positive impact on the work environment. However, it's also had a negative impact in terms of worker health, and this is a result of long periods of time in a static position at a workstation and the repetitive motion of keyboarding. Well, we've developed a product line called WorkSmart that's a patented ergonomically designed product line that is meant to address the risk factors that have to deal with these injuries to the wrists and also to the back and forearms.
All right, so what does that red thing do for me, for example?
This is an adjustable keyboard wrist rest. It has a curved surface. So what it does is it allows your wrist to be in a neutral wrist posture along the home row key on the keyboard. That helps alleviate stress and pressure on the wrist and the carpal tunnel tissues. Consequently, you're not putting those pressures on. You're also working at a level where you can be a little more productive. It is an adjustable wrist rest so that it can address personal preferences for
you can change the height of it?
Exactly, by just removing and replacing this base at these different positions. We also have a mouse version of this wrist rest as well that you can use for mouse operation, 10-key calculator, and so forth.
And what's the thing on your wrist?
This is a wrist support, not to be confused with a wrist rest. Typically people who are working at a computer who are already experiencing some of the symptoms of carpal tunnel will want a little additional support. That's what this provides. It limits the movement, but does not limit the dexterity for operation.
But that's preventative. You don't put that on after you have a problem. You put that on
exactly, and we want to emphasize with products like this, they are not therapeutic. They are preventative and proactive.
Now, what about the lower back? I know you gave me this little thing over here, which just feels wonderful. What's the point of this thing?
We have some simple back rest products that we manufacture that are really designed to help.
Just sort of
slips
right on your chair there.
And they're designed to convert any typical office chair into a more ergonomic one in terms of worker proper posture for the worker at the computer workstation. It's meant to help support the natural curve of the lumbar in the back.
Okay, now you've got some software also. What is this about?
Well, this is a product we're really excited about. Having products like this are one thing.
Okay.
Training and education and fitness and the health of the worker also involves taking periodic breaks from the computer. So we've developed a product called our WorkSmart Warm-Up and Stretch software. It is designed to remind the worker to take frequent breaks as well as puts them through some typical exercises or simple ones that they can do right at the workstation.
So how would I use it?
Well, you would go in and as a computer worker working at the PC, you would have your choice of up to 14 different types of exercises you can do right at the workstation. And you can either customize your own program, you can choose one single body area, or you can do a standard program that the software offers. Okay. Well, let's go into choose a single body area. And you have these major areas of the body that you can focus in on. And let's say we want to work on upper extremities, which is the forearm and the wrist and so forth. And you see here hand exercises and so forth. Now we're going to go right in there. I'm going to get through that one screen, and we're going to start. I'll just show you a couple of quick examples. This is a shoulder stretch. And I'm going to hit continue. And you're going to see that the visual aid here is giving you an idea of how this stretch actually is conducted.
So I'd actually be doing these exercises with my sort of instructor there. And
exactly. And it gives you a total amount of time that you're needed for this session. And it shows, and now we'll move on here to another one, just to give you an example of the variation of
a hand press?
This is a hand press. Again, very important exercises for people who work at a keyboard.
Yeah.
And we move right on to a finger touch and so forth. And then when you're done with your session, you move right out. It tells you when your next session is due.
All right, Dale, let's turn to data hand, which is pretty far out looking there. I guess you're taking a totally different new approach to how to input stuff into a computer, right?
That's correct. It's our goal, design goal of data hand, to reduce or eliminate most of the causes of injury associated with flat keyboards.
All right, well, how does this work now? Go through how do I learn to type using that?
Okay, well, first it's a plug-compatible replacement. You just unplug an antique keyboard and mouse and plug data hand in.
What's the principle of how it works?
Well, the principle is to support the hands in a relaxed position, like an earth shoe for the hand. To provide a straight line from the elbow to the center of the operator's finger. To eliminate all the wrist bending required for a flat keyboard. To make the keys more sensitive so there's less workload.
Okay, but with only sort of 10 keys, how do I do this all?
Okay, well, there are a lot more than 10 keys. On the flat keyboard, the index finger would work a J, and above it would be the U, below would be the M, and to the left would be the H. We preserve that same exact relationship with data hand. Directly under your right index finger is a J, above it's the U, below is the M, and to the left is the H. So it turns out on the middle 3 rows of keys, there are only 4 that require relearning. The 4th row, the numbers and punctuation, are accessed by entering a new mode called the nap mode. You enter that by gently pressing down with your left thumb. When you're in the nap mode, it's like your hands floated up to the 4th row on an antique keyboard, but they don't have to float. So the key underneath the left little finger becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0, just like on the antique keyboard. And people that have never been able to learn to touch type the 4th row on an antique keyboard could quickly do so on data hand.
Now, what about like cursor movements, mouse movements, that kind of thing?
Okay, there are 2 new ways to address a mouse on data hand. One is through what we call a finger mouse. And that's achieved by moving the finger up and down across the screen. And the index fingers, when you're in the finger mouse mode, become mouse control keys. Plus, you could get a diagonal by pushing 2 keys at once. And the second mode is for graphics-intensive applications where you need more graphic precision. If you press down gently on the unit, a magnetic brake releases, and the entire hand becomes mouse input. And one hand is fine mouse input, and the other hand is very rapid mouse input. So the 2 mice together combined in a system we call vernier mouse input. So it's a better mouse because you don't have to remove your fingers from the data input keys, and you have vernier control, and no wrist bending is required to use it.
Now, the first question is obviously how hard would it be for me to learn to type using the data hand?
We find slow to medium fast typists equal their flat keyboard speed in about 10 to 15 hours. At 50 hours, they average 30 to 50% faster. Anecdotally, we've had people type 200% of their flat keyboard speed when using data hand.
And what's the status of data hand right now? Is it still in development?
Absolutely. These are beta units. We're installing them in the field. Some of them have been in continuous use for 6 months. By mid this year, we hope to begin pilot production.
You really think you can convince people to give up the good old-fashioned keyboard?
We think we could do to the antique keyboard and mouse what the touch-tone phone did to the antique rotary dial phone.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. All right, so now you are paying attention to what your hands and your back and your neck do while you're computing, but what about your eyes? Well, at the UC Berkeley VDT Eye Clinic, they are trying to find solutions to the problem of CRT eye strain.
Good morning, Ms. Williams. How are you
Good
today?
morning, Dr. Sheep.
How are things going for you?
Pretty good, except I'm having problems with my vision.
Oh, my goodness.
Dr. James Sheedy directs the VDT Eye Clinic at UC Berkeley, which specializes in the diagnosis and treatment of eye problems related to computer use. A recent survey of optometrists indicates that 10 million Americans are suffering from computer vision syndrome.
The most frequent symptom that patients have is eye strain. We also have things like headaches that can be caused, eye fatigue, dry, irritated eyes, and red eyes are definitely caused. A lot of neck aches and back aches, which at first maybe don't sound like eye-related problems, but they're very often generated by a poor visual placement of their computer, and also due to a poor design of their spectacles. For example, trying to use bifocals where you need to go like this and then you get neck ache and back ache.
Environmental factors in the workplace often have a direct effect on the level of visual discomfort experienced by computer users. That's why an eye exam at the Berkeley Clinic also includes an evaluation of the patient's workstation. The goal is to reduce glare through monitor placement, strategic lighting, or the use of an optical filter.
I generally see these anti-reflection filters coming in two categories. There's a mesh type filter and also a clear optical filter, usually made out of glass. And I want to hold these side by side. And can you see how it's much clearer through the glass
Yes.
one? This is why I usually recommend the glass filters, because you'll find that you'll get much better imagery through it.
The GlareGuard filter is the only one approved by the American Optometric Association as a prescribed treatment for computer vision syndrome. It's available through your eye doctor. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Jonelle Patterson.
Eye strain is just one of the problems associated with video displays. The other problem is electromagnetic radiation. Here to show us how to reduce that risk is Mark Kettering of Safe Technologies, and also with us Chuck Britton of Densitron. Mark, let me start with you. And first of all, what is the problem? What kind of radiation is coming out of a CRT, and why should I care about it?
Well, there's two types of magnetic radiation: extremely low frequency ELF and very low frequency VLF. Our monitor, the low radiation monitor on your right, reduces both types of radiation.
All right, why should I care about that radiation? I mean, I'm every day sitting in front of a thing like this. Now, what's the negative effect to me?
There is a statistical correlation between magnetic fields, both ELF and VLF, to various forms of cancer. Leukemia, brain cancer are the two major types. Various studies, both with people that work in front of a CRT all day and also around power lines.
Okay, well, let's take a look now. Now, you have your monitor, the safe one, which has certain protections, which we'll talk about in a minute. And let's take some measurements of these two things you talked about, the ELF and VLF, and right off the top, see the difference in a sort of normal, off-the-shelf monitor and a safe monitor.
Okay, let's look at the VLF.
This is VLF?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll sort of hold this up here, and turn yours off so we just measure this guy. And I'm getting 1.2, 1.3, something like that. So let's measure yours. I'll turn mine off over here. And, well, it's down by a factor of at least 10, right? You're below 1. I was at, yeah.
We're about 0.08, 0.09.
Okay, now what are these numbers we're looking at? What do these numbers mean? What are we measuring?
This is milligauss at VLF.
Okay, so that's the VLF measurement. So clearly you've reduced that kind of radiation. Let's take a look at the ELF then.
Okay. Normally we measure it in front of the monitor, but the field is very high in this room. So for this, we'll just show a reduction.
You've got, what, a 7 or an 8 or something is what you're showing. These same units again?
Yes, milligauss.
Okay, so let's, again, you turn on and off, and I'll turn on. And over here, well, yeah, I'm again 7, 8 times. I'm in the 70s or something, considerably higher than what you were over there. All right, what are you doing with your safe monitor there? Turn it back on again if you would, Mark. We can just look at them now. How are you managing to reduce both the ELF and the VLF radiation in that monitor?
Well, internal into the monitor, there are compensating coils that counteract the field generated by the monitor. Plus, we use mu metal shielding to reduce it further.
And what does it cost me then to get a safe monitor instead of having to deal with the typical one?
It's slightly under $700 compared to around $400 for an equivalent monitor.
So maybe another $300 or so. How serious is this risk? I mean, you've said, cancer and leukemia and all this kind of stuff. I mean, should there be a law that says we can only have monitors like yours?
Well, in Sweden there is a law. In the U.S., the EPA had determined that they were a Class B carcinogen, but they backed off from that statement.
So, I mean, who knows, but it's a serious problem.
We believe it is.
Yeah. All right, let's turn to you, Chuck, and you have a different solution. I mean, you just say forget CRTs altogether and go with flat screen LCDs. Why is that different? Why are there no radiation problems in the LCD?
Well, this uses a completely different technology. You're not shooting beams at the front of the screen. You're not developing a lot of high voltages and a lot of high frequencies. And this has several other advantages besides the low radiation. It's a very compact unit, as you can see.
Yeah, turn that around so we can see. Okay, so that's how you handle your connector.
The connector is one cable into the CPU. All the signals come through.
And is that a standard connector? I can just plug into my normal VGA port on my computer?
Well, it comes with its own controller card, so you have to put our controller card in because the LCD signals are also different from CRT signals. but it is a plug-and-play application-wise with a VGA monitor. The other advantage is that it's very low power, and a lot of people are concerned with overall energy consumption of their equipment, and this unit only uses about 8 watts, which is significantly less than any CRT.
And pretty small form factor. I mean, it doesn't take up all that space on my desk, right?
Right, yeah, you can, and it's very easy to move out of the
Slide
way,
around,
so
yeah.
if
You don't have to
you don't
lug
want to
that
use
thing.
it. And then
What's the other one you've got?
The other package we have here is what we affectionately call our LCD on a stick. It's meant to clamp on to a desk or a
and how
counter.
about the connectors on that one? What do I see there?
This has a keyboard connector and a power connector, and then one port to go to your CPU. And then it can swivel to the exact place that you would like to use it at, and then be pushed out of the way when you don't need to use it.
Right. Okay, now these are both monochrome LCD flat screen displays. Suppose I want color, which most people want now. Can I get a color LCD like this for my desktop?
You can get color. There's quite a price premium. The Active Matrix, which are the best looking ones, run about $5,000 and about $2,500 for the passive Matrix.
And what's it cost me just for the monochrome?
This unit is just under $800.
All right, so I guess in both cases these are a lot more expensive, but I mean you're solving, certainly in the case of radiation, a pretty serious problem, and in your case you're adding some other sort of ergonomic qualities. Because I guess one nice thing about this is from an eye strain point of view, I can kind of move that monitor screen around anywhere I want and not be stuck with the angle of this box sitting on my desk. Huh?
Exactly.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. That is our look at computer ergonomics. Stay tuned now for this week's computer news on Random Access.
In the Random Access file this week, IBM has announced a new generation of desktop computers called the Personal System 2E. The PS2E incorporates many notebook features in a desktop design. The new model of the PS2 comes with an Active Matrix color flat screen display that can be mounted over the desk or on a wall. The keyboard includes IBM's TrackPoint pointing device integrated into the keyboard. The PS2E also comes standard with 4 PC MCIA peripheral slots and features a 486 CPU. List price, including a second CRT color monitor, is around $2,200. Apple has denied reports that it will be licensing its Macintosh System 7 operating system to other hardware manufacturers. InfoWorld magazine had reported that Apple would license System 7 in a new strategy to expand the user base for the Mac platform. And Apple has announced a new portable printer designed to work with the PowerBook. The new portable Style Writer is a thermal inkjet printer that weighs 4.5 pounds and uses a NiCad battery. Suggested retail price is just over $400. Next up, this week's software review with Paul Schindler of Windows Magazine, provided courtesy of CMP Publications.
Today, I'm going to look at a very useful Windows utility that helps you find files you're looking for, even if you keep them compressed in zip format. The program is called Searcher Pro. Now, suppose you keep your files compressed in zip format to save space. And suppose you're looking for something. Well, here's how Searcher Pro works. You click on the drive or drives you wish to check. In this case, we'll look at the floppy disk drive. We'll tell it to search the root directory. That's a backslash in the path box. And the text we'll look for is my name, Schindler. Now, you can see all the files which contain the word in the box on the bottom half of the screen. If you click on one of those files, Searcher Pro will extract that file from the zip file you were searching. It is fast, it is simple, it works like a charm, and as far as I know, it's the only product on the market that will search a zip file without unzipping it. Searcher Pro, $60, Cognitronics in Poway, California. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
A company called Datatech Software has introduced a retirement planning program called Rich and Retired. It's designed to help baby boomers start the process of financial planning for the future. List price is $59. Finally, you can now borrow CD-ROM titles from your local library. Compton's New Media has announced that it's offering public libraries copies of its CD titles, including children's stories, the interactive encyclopedia, and specialized reference works in the areas of music, travel, and business. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Janelle Stelson.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by Intel, the world's leading manufacturer of microprocessors. Intel, the computer inside.
Additional funding is provided by the Software Publishers Association. providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Video cassette copies of this program are available. Computer Chronicles also publishes a companion newsletter containing details on products demonstrated, plus background information on program topics. To order a video cassette or a subscription to the newsletter, call 1-800-366-9484 or write Computer Chronicles. Please specify program subject for tapes. All orders include a free software program for auditing software use and information on the definitive guide to keeping your organization's software legal.